I've told my subscribers that I'm not going to talk about it, but I would love to hear your take on it with just like the Jalen Duren extension saga, I guess we'll call it. I mean, what's kind of just been your take like since the playoffs have ended and just all the reporting that we've got since, I guess, June when it started?
It's a loaded subject. Where do I want to start with this? I mean, for one, Jalen Duren, I'm going to start here, is a very talented basketball player. He is no doubt one of the best centers in the NBA. Pretty objective, right? Like made all NBA third team. That being said, he did have a very bad playoff performance, and that's putting it a little bit lightly. I think I've always been really high on Jalen Duren. I've had it on record since like 2022. I was like, there's a world where he could be like 1B best player on this team, which I mean, I guess I was kind of right. But in today's NBA, if you want to really be a contender, you can't have that much money being given to a guy who isn't proven in the playoffs. It's just how it works. You look at the way things are going in the NBA right now, there's one guy on a team who makes that much money. With what's rumored, Jalen Duren would be making the most money on this team. I don't think that's a very reasonable thing to do. And I think Trajan is standing firm on not, being his own competition in terms of like paying against the market, and there was no market. If you are the Brooklyn Nets, let's say, would I be interested in signing Jalen Duren to a $287 million contract? Yeah, maybe, because we don't have that, right? Like we don't have that kind of player on our team. Yeah. But if I'm the Detroit Pistons, am I interested in signing Jalen Duren to a $287 million contract? No. Can I understand why Jalen Duren wants that contract? Absolutely, right? Like you want to set yourself up to be making as much money as possible. But on the other hand, like if you want to win, it can't go down like this. Like there's just like no other way to put it. Like if you want to win a championship, and this team obviously wants to win a championship, obviously I think the front office doesn't believe that's right now. I don't think the front office believes they're winning a championship this season. I think that's pretty apparent. Unless they go out and make, that big move at the deadline, then maybe. But before the 2026-27 NBA season, I don't think the goal is to win the NBA championship from the front office. I think the goal is to progress. I think the goal is to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals and see where you go from there. I don't think you can pay Jalen Duren that much money. No. And I don't think that's a knock on Jalen Duren. Like that's a lot of money. That's a significant portion of the salary cap. And that's more money than a lot of really solid, like a lot of like the top players in the NBA are making. And I think that's a recipe for disaster. You can't make any trades. You'll be stuck in the second apron. You are kind of fried as a franchise, point blank period. That's just kind of how it is. Again, I completely understand why Jalen Duren's pushing for that. I can understand why he wants to make that, push for that lucrative of a contract. I get it. I think he's worthy of getting a significant payday. Like, I think if they end up coming to an agreement around like $35 to $38 million annually, that's fair, right? Like, I think that's pretty fair. Even if they end up at like maybe I heard this in Summer League. Someone had said 3-year deal, like 40 million. It starts at 40 million and maybe descends a little bit each year, like something like that. I could totally see. And I think that's more than valid. But yeah, where I'm at currently today about it is I just want it to be over. I want this situation to be done with. It's gotten very toxic for a lot of fans. I'm sure Jalen Duren has received a lot of this, and there's no way he's not seeing it, which sucks for him, right? Because like he had to deal with a lot of that in the playoffs, and then it hasn't gotten any easier. So I personally wonder where his mental's at, how he's been since the playoffs, because this is a lot for a 22-year-old guy who kind of hasn't really had this type of spotlight before. And then all of a sudden just got thrown into the deep end. So yeah, where I'm at, I don't think you can pay Jalen Duren like a super max. There's no way. You lose your ability to have any sort of financial wiggle room to go out and get that second guy, or go out and, pretty much do anything, because the second apron kills you in the NBA today. It's stupid that the second apron punishes teams for drafting well, but that is just the way things are. And the way things are, let's just come to an agreement that there's no market right now. We don't want to pay you that much, but we can maybe compromise. I think like that's where conversations have to go, because this has run circles now for like months. And if we reach the end of August and there's still no agreement, and then I think the deadline's in September.
I think October.
Oh, is it really in October?
Yeah.
Oh, geez. Okay. Well, if we go all the way to October, then like, what are we doing here, right? Like at that point, it's a bit concerning. But yeah, that's where I'm at. I understand why things have gone the way they've gone up until this point. I hope the toxicity ends. I hope that the sides can just come to an agreement, and I hope that both sides enter training camp and the regular season, putting this behind them, and moving forward like happily.
So like a two-way question, because saw these reports last week. What if he threatens to take the qualifying offer?
If he threatens, if he threatens it, whatever. If you legitimately believe that he's not going to sign this offer no matter what, and he's going to take the qualifying offer, I think you have to just give up. You got to give up and just let him go get that sign and trade somewhere. Because the qualifying offer would kill you. Like that would legitimately like kill you. Because obviously, like now the way things are in the NBA today, like when free agency opens, you have your own window to talk to your own free agents. So in a way, every free agent's kind of restricted, kind of somewhat, to where like, free agency opens and like they're already on the next plane to like, I don't know, Sacramento, like it's not, that's not necessarily how things work now. But in the same hand, if he feels slighted by this and he's decided and he ends up, playing a similar season production wise and, translates to the playoffs and Detroit's like, oh, well, okay, we'll pay you now, but there's another team who's ready to pay him. There's a real world where he'd go, okay, now you guys already showed me you don't really value me and you don't want to pay me. So I'm going to go take my talents to, wherever that place may be. And you would lose him for nothing. And that would be a then 23-year-old all-star, all-NBA player walking away from your team with you receiving zero in return. And that would 100% be the worst case imaginable. That is like, I don't want to say franchise like window potentially closing, but it's bad. That's really bad. So if you do get a sense that he actually is preparing to sign the qualifying offer, then you kind of have to call teams and go, okay, what are you willing to offer Jalen Duren? And you go from there. Because at that point, what are we doing?
I know, like all the reports that I've read from like The Athletic to, guys like Omari who cover the team here locally, like a lot of the beat guys here, like Pistons have no interest like whatsoever in any sign-in trades. Obviously, if they hold all the cards, because like you mentioned, there's no market. Like I kind of worried about Chicago. I worried about Brooklyn. I worried about Los Angeles early on, but that market dried up in about a week's time. The Sacramento thing was cute, but like they could never really like actually do anything unless it was a sign and trade for Sabonis. Obviously, that didn't really materialize. It was just a conversation, but I'm just to the point. It's like, if you want the max, which is $57 million, try to compromise, because I think if you're like, you said 35, like let's say they give him like 5 years, what's that, 175, 180, like you're really gonna walk away from $180 because you didn't get the 287. Like I get it's a huge gap, but like maybe you just front load a contract for a couple of years, which I've seen some fans talk about, but it just kind of seems like his agent is just holding out to see what the Pistons will budge. It's a big game of poker right now, and I low-key think Trajan is probably one of the best poker players like out there.
Yeah, he's got a great poker face for sure.
He's not budging. Like if this was Troy Weaver, he would have folded like a lawn chair and given the Supermax like in 2 seconds. Like this front office is very stern, and they're very creative with contracts, I would say, especially with the non-guaranteed years. But again, like I value Jalen Duren for what he is as a player. Obviously, playoffs were completely underwhelming. I think every Pistons fan will tell you that, but I think 30 to 35 is fair for what he did. And maybe you just do a 2-year or a 3-year contract. Maybe you just kind of take the Kuminga deal. Maybe you want to get out of it earlier and test the market to see if you can get that max. But I think for what it is right now, they still want to extend a SAR too. They still, like Trajan has always said, I want to feel a competitive team. I can't feel the competitive team if I got 2 guys on a max.
Right.
And you mentioned it, like that would kind of put you in the second apron. You don't want that. You wouldn't be able to get that secondary creator or the secondary star. Like I just fear that they're kind of leaning on internal development a little bit too much, because I think we both understand like he's talented, but paying him that much, I think, is a very slippery slope of kind of closing your window pretty quickly.
For sure. Yeah. And it's like when you say that, like it's not necessarily like, oh, if you pay Jalen Duren like this much money, then you're cooked. Like I think if you pay anybody that much money next to another max player, and like a true like super max player, unless they're like a tier 1 superstar, that's like no team in the NBA wants to be in the second apron, because it kind of kills your competitiveness. Like it kills your ability to do anything. Cleveland was in the second apron this season, and obviously like they did the James Harden thing, but like that doesn't like happen often. Like, and they're doing everything in their power to not be in the second apron again this upcoming season. The Oklahoma City Thunder, like doing everything in their power to not be in the second apron. Denver has to make a decision of, do we really want to like bring Spencer Jones and Peyton Watson back and be a second apron team, or do we just cut costs? Because it kills you. And I don't think the Pistons can afford to be a second apron team. And it's not to say I don't think Tom Gores would care to pay that luxury tax. Like I don't think that's even a thought for him. But I think it's more just about what it does to team building. And I think the way things are in the NBA, and the more teams learn about the second apron and the new CBA, the more they're going to avoid that second apron. So if you're putting yourself in a deal where, okay, like I have to sign Jalen Duren, then you're not going to allow it to reach that second apron, because it's going to kill any ability to really be that championship level team. And like, that's part of it for me, that like, I wish, as much as I understand Duren chasing the bag, totally get it. If you want to win here, like you would at some point, like you just kind of have to come to that understanding that like, this is how the NBA works right now. Like, I know it sucks. I know it's unfair, but like, like it's the only way that like you can really compete for a championship. Brunson took a pay cut. Wemby took a pay cut. Like, if you want to win, these are the kind of sacrifices you got to make.
Yeah, I mean, Wemby was eligible for over $300 million. He didn't even take that. So I mean, like, if anyone wants to like take the bag, like I could understand like him wanting to take the bag. He just made the NBA Finals, and he's got a good roster around him. I mean, even have like other San Antonio Spurs players saying like, yeah, I'd probably take a pay cut to like stay with the team that I currently have. But it's just like, a lot of it I know is agent tactics and negotiations where you threaten to take the qualifying offer, you threaten to flirt with other teams to see if the current organization, which is the Pistons, to budge to get to your price. Like, I get it. At the end of the day, it's an agent tactic. But we're almost in August, and even the ESPN guys said this past week that like it could go deep into August before they actually come to an agreement. Like, there's been more, good conversation since the LeVert trade, but like I think my cutoff for it is like 38. Like, that's the highest I'd be willing to go because I think it's fair. He gets paid, and it also gives the Pistons a little bit of wiggle room to negotiate with the SAR. And possibly maybe you stack some contracts to get more of a secondary score and build the core with Cade, Duren, and the SAR long term in the East.
Yeah. I think honestly, I think 40 I'd be okay with. Past 40 it gets a little questionable, but I think 40 is okay. All things considered. But yeah, I'm with you.